The Pokemon market is certainly going through some big ebbs and flows, and right now we are at a crucial time period because a lot of people are wondering what is actually happening. Yes, prices are dropping, but there's much more to the picture, to be honest, because while prices may be dipping, there's also massive hype that's slowly building for the 30th celebration, and the same thing goes with Delta Rain. That is picking up a lot of steam right now, and we're just at a very awkward intersection. Though I think when we look at what prices are doing right now, we can see some big changes taking place. Alrighty, let's get into these prices and what is happening with the Pokemon cards in the general market right now. And yes, I love my purple shirt, but you know, the only thing is when I wear it, I get worried about the sweat patches. You know what I mean? Your boy is, I'm a sweaty, I perspirate, if you want to say it. Anyway, that's not a word, perspirate. No, I'm a sweaty guy. Okay, so moving on to the Ascended Heroes ETB. Clammy. That's the one, clammy. Oh gosh, that ain't a vibe. That's just no vibes there. Anyway, Ascended Heroes was selling for 104 US, okay? That was actually a good price, okay? Ascended Heroes went all the way up to 190. Right now, it has dropped to, right now, there you go, 168 USD. Now, here's the thing with that little bit of a drop right there. A lot of people have been freaking out crazily about what's happening in the Pokemon market and the shifts and all that. That's going for 190, right now dropped to whatever it was, 160, 170. These are really small drops in the whole scale of things and how everything's gone. What you really need to be thinking about, and the whole thing with Pokemon cards right now, is there has been a bit of a shift, and I will be going through this in a future video. Probably will be my next video, but it's more to do with how this hyper modern Pokemon is going and how right now a lot of this hyper modern stuff is just really vulnerable. It's really not in the best position. And a lot of this stuff needs to correct because it's been insane. Ascended Heroes already selling for 170 in ETB. Even that is like, a lot of this stuff needs to kind of calm down because it's absurd, right? I mean, I was looking at some Ascended Heroes SIRs and I was like, dude, that is expensive. Yeah, it's just something that you do need to consider when you're looking at Pokemon cards right now. Alrighty, moving on to the Mega Dragonite SIR. Really desired card, was selling for 877. Right now selling for 735. These drops are not, like, I keep seeing people going like, oh, the drops, but like when I'm looking at them, they're nothing that I really thought. In fact, I don't think they've dropped enough. That Mega Dragonite is like what? It's pretty much what the Lost Origin Giratina V was selling for a couple months back. Like, this is brand new, man. Like, that's 4 years old now. It's just, yeah, I mean, the market's just going through it's just clawing in and out. It's like, what is happening with Pokemon cards? I've actually got a thing that a lot of Ascended Heroes cards, especially Ascended Heroes, but even of the other cards, we don't even know what the prices are. And what I mean by that is, yeah, they might be selling for that, but no one knows what the floor of these cards are. No one knows what the height. It is the most volatile I've ever seen in anything Pokemon cards. Ascended Heroes has been it's been a mess, man, for the whole hobby. It's been like when I look at 735, for some reason, intuitively, that just to me still doesn't feel like the price of this Mega Dragonite. I could eat my words, right? Or maybe I just haven't adjusted to the new insane prices. Maybe I'm still the bit of that, oh yeah, this is where Pokemon cards, where they're meant to be. And a lot of us are like that. It's not a bad thing if you like that, but I think I still haven't got my head around. I think actually, if you came into the hobby just like when Ascended Heroes dropped, you probably have a better feel than a lot of people who've been in it for a while, as crazy as that sounds, because a lot of us are like, wow, like, I don't know, like if you've been collecting for more than two or 3 or even 4 years, even longer than that, what do you think about this? Like, do you feel like intuitively these are the prices of these chase cards, or do you think they're a bit overinflated? And hey, if you have been enjoying the video, I did want to say my name's Phil and I do create Pokemon investing and collecting content. Honestly, I'd love for you to subscribe so you can join the journey and you can always stay in the loop for what's happening with Pokemon cards. Now, moving on to the Pokemon 151 Elite Trainer Box, okay? This was going also through a bit of a shift. We're selling for 665 and right now selling, there you go, for 615. Really interesting to see that it has dropped in the last 3 months, albeit effectively not much at all. The thing about this is, and why Pokemon 151 is better than Ascended Heroes, is a lot to do with that. The fact that you get more packs inside. That is a massive draw factor for Pokemon 151. You do get more packs inside. And again, the pull rates are not that difficult as well. I think 151, in terms of even an investment or everything for 151, it had a lot more things going for it in a lot of ways than Ascended Heroes. One thing about 151, and I don't hear people speak about it, but it's in the order of the Pokedex. It's such a nice set to collect, man. So because of that, you know, it's like 1 to 151, there's all the Pokemon in the Pokedex. It's a nice set to do a master set of. But more than that, you also don't have insanely difficult pull rates. 151 has like mid-tier pull rates. Like the Charizard isn't that rare compared to something, I'm talking like when you compare this to something like the Trikachu or the Mega Gengar or the Mega Dragonite, or even the Mega Emboar, any of the special illustration rares, they are rare, man. They are like so hard to pull. So 151 it ticks a lot more boxes because at least it's a bit more of a fun opening experience. It's not that insanely expensive to get some skin in the game when it released. And also, like, I think it's an easier product to sell because you're going to that 151 nostalgia. So moving on to Charizard from 151, was selling for $491. And there you go, right now selling for $368. So the Charizard 151 has actually had a pretty big drop, considering it is a bit of an older card as well, compared to this hyper modern stuff. Right here, we can see it was selling last year for $193. So if you bought it this time last year, you're still laughing. Also, hey, I do have some exciting news as well, because I will be going live on Whatnot on August 7th, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be giving away packs of Perfect Order and Chaos Rising. Now, today's video is sponsored by Whatnot. Now, if you've never been on Whatnot, it's a live shopping platform, and I'll actually give you a quick tour of it right now. So right here, I'm on Whatnot, and you can see there is a bunch of streams happening right now on the platform, and you can just jump in, watch them live. So right now, I've jumped in a stream, and some Ascended Heroes is getting open. Let's see, any big pull here. And we have, hey, Canary SIR, not bad, eh? That was actually all right. Here we go, cool illustration rare, currently available as well. It's not just about live shopping. I actually use Whatnot a lot like a regular marketplace. So right here, I've just searched for Chaos Rising Booster Box, and you can actually see what's available, and you can just buy it like a regular marketplace, which is really good as well. Same thing with PSA 10 Pokemon cards. Here I can see the Mega Charizard EX, the SIR, and of course as well, if I wasn't happy with the price, I can make an offer, and you can see it's really easy there, minus 20%, minus 15, or I can also put in a custom offer here as well if I wanted to buy it. Really dynamic, really fun. And what's really cool, if you do want to try out Whatnot, I do have a $15 credit for you to spend on the app. Head to the link in the description, or you can just scan the QR code appearing on screen now. Honestly, I can't wait to see you on the stream. Thanks to Whatnot supporting the channel. Let's get back to it. All right, let's go into Perfect Order, because the latest 3 sets that have released, the new sets, have been a bit lackluster in terms of the broader market. Whether or not you like, I actually like Perfect Order. I love the Meowth, man. Like a real talk, I love the Meowth. But in terms of the market, man, they're like the collectors have said, no, we don't really like Perfect Order. I think even Chaos Rising, I'm going to say it, man, hot take or not, I actually think that's even had a worse reception than Perfect Order. I think Perfect Order, like, Chaos Rising has not had good, like, reception at all, to be honest. But right here, we're moving, and we can see what's selling for $220. And right now, Perfect Order selling for $175. That's a market low. So if you do want to open some packs, and you do want that opening experience, you do have pockets of some sets that are available. In fact, I think Perfect Order, if you're buying at the right places, you can probably even get it for less than that, man. It is not that hard, especially in Australia, that it's everywhere. Like, it's nice to see, because all for 2025, we didn't see that. But yeah, Perfect Order is definitely not a set that has insane demand, which has been good for the hobby. So here's the top chase card, which I was talking about, the Meowth. Was selling for $199, right now selling for $130, and that's okay. For a top chase card, I think this, what I like about Perfect Order is that it reminds me, like I was talking about that Mega Dragonite, the reason why I love Perfect Order is that it reminds me of what Collectibles kind of used to be. Like, for example, a top chase card at $130 is a much, like, that's pretty attainable for the general collector base, okay? When we're going to what the Mega Gengar, the Charizard, all that is so out of the realms for 90% of collectors. Like, to go to those levels and to those prices, it is really hard to say, you know what, I'm gonna now spend that kind of money on a Pokemon card. At $130, that reminds me of like when Blaziken from Chill and Rain was selling like that. Or when the Gengar VMAX, I remember I bought that for 250 Australian dollars, which is like 180 US, 170 something, give or take. So that was good. Like, my chase cards were always somewhat like, yeah, it's expensive, but hey, I could at least add it to my collection. The Meowth is also like that right now, and I did add this card to my collection. I really like it. But in saying stuff like I said, all those top chase cards, come on, man, it's insane, right? Sweat patches, not yet. Okay, got the anxiety, man. I just don't want to be like, there's a lot of you watching, you know what I mean? I don't need the clips, you know? Moving on to Chaos Rising. I don't know about this set, man. It's probably, if you ask me, the set that I don't like the most from the Mega Evolution era. I think as time has gone on, I'm not the biggest, I'm not loving Chaos Rising. We can see that pretty much when it released, that hype was building. Greninja, this, that, was selling for $270. Right now, Chaos Rising selling for $183. It's pretty much at the same price as Perfect Order. And yeah, it just hasn't had a lot of love. This is another set that is available, man. You can buy Chaos Rising pretty easily, and as you can see, the market reflects it. When we look at the top chase card, it is a little bit in a higher category than the Meowth, but like I said, I actually prefer the Meowth. All right, moving on to the Mega Greninja, and you can see it was selling for $4.49, and right now selling for $2.20, which is actually, that's actually still really high, but again, with how Pokemon cards have been going lately, I still think, as crazy as it sounds, that is at least a bit more of an attainable chase card to add to your collection than what we've seen with a lot of the other cards. Whether it's the Charizard or the Ascended Heroes chase cards, they have pulled the hobby, or even the evolutions from Prismatic or the Umbreon, they've pulled the hobby into this thing that it's like, wow, who's going to pay that? But in terms of 220, if you did want to add, it's a market low, which is at least a good thing. But at the same time, while Chaos Rising is still in that kind of period where it's dropping, unless this card has some crazy bounce back, which I think is too early for it, especially with what's happening with the hypermodern stuff right now. Now, also, if you do have questions about upcoming sets and just general questions around Pokemon cards in general, you can ask them on my channel's Discord server. And what's really cool is you can also share your TCG pools in the server. The server invite for the Discord is in the video's description. Now, interestingly, there is a lot of those cards dropping, but cards that have already gone through a bit of an era and sets that have gone through an era of already having vulnerability and sets that have already had their moment where they dropped. What I mean by that is they've already dropped at one point, okay? Sets that have already, like Silver Tempest, which has already had a market correction, when was it? In 2024 and late 2023. Silver Tempest was going through a down period. Now these are a bit more resilient in the market. Silver Tempest, throughout this whole period, the last 3 months, was selling for $4.71. Not much movement. Right now, selling for $5.26. Actually, it's gone up, which is insane. Even when we look at the top chase card and we're looking at the Lugia V. Here's the Lugia V, last 6 months. Check this out. Was selling for $3.43. Right now, Lugia V from Silver Tempest selling for $5.28. In fact, last 3 months, when a lot of those cards and all these hyper modern cards, the Mega Dragonite, the Mega Gengar, the Pikachu, all that, when they're dropping, Silver Tempest Lugia is actually climbing a bit. $4.52. Right now, selling, there you go, $5.29. And insane, the fact that some Ascended Heroes cards are at the price of this Lugia, this artwork to me is leagues above a lot of them, and it's much older as well. So yeah, man, insanely cool card. But you can see, because it's already had that period once upon a time where it did have a market correction, it's kind of a bit more resilient at the moment. Same thing with Fusion Strike, okay? Sword and Shield booster boxes. Look at that. Last 3 months selling for $1,017. Right now selling for $992. That is what, like a 3% drop throughout this whole correction period, this whole correcting period. That has been very stable in the market with all these things happening. So there still is products that are very desired in the Pokemon collecting world. To be honest, Fusion Strike had a moment where it really went up in price, and it's held for a while at the same price point. But there you go, good example as well. And if we look at some of the chase cards from Fusion Strike, they've also held in the last 3 months. They haven't dropped. So this whole thing where people are freaking out, it's the hyper modern that you need to be weary of. It's not the other stuff, man. Look at the Espeon VMAX, right? Gorgeous card, by the way. Was selling for $285 throughout this whole last 3 months. Right now selling for $346. Hasn't had any kind of shakes. In fact, it's actually climbed a very small amount during this period. The whole thing of the whole correction and the whole everything that's happening, it's all happening to the stuff where we don't know the price point. Right now, we know the Espeon VMAX price point. The other stuff is so up in the air. It is, no one can guess what's happening with them. They are just, they're volatile as, so you have to be careful. Older singles have much more stability, especially stuff from Sword and Shield era, as you just saw with the Espeon and the Lugia V that I just showed you. Same thing here with Evolving Skies, okay? Evolving Skies, what, 3 months ago, selling for $2,660. Right now selling for $2,510. Dropped around $100, a little bit more than that. There you go, that's a 4% decrease throughout the hyper modern stuff that's correcting right now, showing you that the stuff from a previous generation isn't as affected as the new hyper modern. We are going through a hyper modern correction, which of course, if anyone would have told you, that was already going to happen because they were just way too insane. And again, moving on to a very desired card from Sword and Shield, the Dragonite V. Check this out. Was selling, what, 6 months ago for $379. Right now, Dragonite V selling for $556. But okay, this card's rare to pull. But when you see the price of Evolving Sky sealed, and then you see the price of, not the top chase card, but a desired chase card, selling for $556. And then when you look at the Mega Dragonite, that's already more than that. And yeah, it's just, that's what I mean. The hobby is just wild at the moment. Though even with prices moving like this, it does bring up a few questions relating to the longevity of the hobby and what's going to be happening in 2027 and beyond. Well, I do actually have 5 predictions for Pokemon cards cards in 2027, and they're all on this video on screen here. In this video, I give my 5 biggest predictions for Pokemon cards in 2027. Click that video on screen. I really appreciate you watching, and hey, I'll see you on that next video.